The last bus to Springfield. I still flinch when I hear a bus at night, even if it just drives past, even if I don't see it. The sound clings to me like a sticky web. It all started that Friday. I was at a buddy's party out in the suburbs near Springfield. Nothing special. Some booze, low music, a couple of familiar faces I wasn't in the mood to argue with. Around 2 a.m., I realized I'd stayed too long. Cabs were crazy expensive, and I barely had $20 left on my card. So I figured I'd take the bus home. And just then, like it was waiting, a beat-up white and blue Springfield Transit bus pulled up. The lights inside flickered. The front windshield was fogged, but the route number was right there on the dash. And honestly, I was too tired to be picky. The bus was empty. No passengers. I couldn't see the driver. There was a curtain across the front, but the engine was running and the doors were wide open, like it had pulled up just for me. I stepped in, sat by the window, tried to peek past the curtain, caught a glimpse of a shadow, a shape. Maybe the driver was just being quiet. The bus pulled away. At first the route seemed familiar, but it didn't take long before I noticed something was off. The streets outside? Unfamiliar. Dark houses, empty lots, signs with no lights. I checked my phone. The GPS was glitching, the map lagged behind, and where my neighborhood should have been. There was just a blank white patch. I told myself it was nothing. Bad signal, outdated maps. I tried to stay calm. Then the bus stopped. A hiss from the brakes, like the whole thing exhaled. The doors opened. Someone stepped in. I didn't see their face, just a dark hoodie, a black backpack. They sat across from me without a word. I'll be honest, that's when I got uneasy, but it was just a person, right? Maybe homeless, maybe a night shift worker. I told myself, don't stare, don't overthink it. But there was no smell, no sweat, no smoke, no food, just nothing. I reached for the stop button, but it wasn't there. The panel was blank, like it had been ripped out. "Hey," I said, just trying to hear another human voice. "This bus go downtown?" Pause. The stranger stared past me, or through me. No reply. "Do you hear me?" He turned his head and said quietly, "Not for you." I couldn't tell if it was a joke. I stood up, and the bus jolted, almost threw me off balance. I made my way to the driver's seat, still behind the curtain. No sound, no movement, no breathing, no gear shift, nothing. That's when panic started to crawl in. Then the bus stopped again. I ran to the doors. They didn't open. No emergency button. The frame around them looked old, worn, like the whole thing hadn't been used in years. I pounded on the glass. No cracks, not even a scratch. My breath fogged the window. The air had turned cold inside the cabin. The man across from me didn't move, didn't speak, just sat there, staring at the floor. I found the emergency hatch near the back, forced it open, broken nail clawing at the latch. I tumbled out onto wet asphalt. It was pitch dark, no streetlights, just my footsteps and the sound of my heart pounding in my ears. I looked back, and the bus was gone. I walked until I found a gas station. Little fast food place attached, neon lights, some old guy at the register, maybe in his 60s, worn out hat, half asleep. I told him everything. He didn't interrupt, just listened. Then he asked, "You said it was a Springfield Transit bus?" I nodded. His mouth tightened, and he said, "They shut down those routes years ago. Old Mill Road's been blocked off ever since the bridge collapsed. Ain't no buses go that way anymore." I blamed it on exhaustion, on stress, but still, somehow I ended up at that gas station, didn't I? If you made it all the way to the end, then you're exactly the kind of person I'm looking for. Hit that subscribe button. It really means a lot to me. I hope I can keep bringing you more stories, to make you smile, or maybe to scare you.